Hi, this is Alan Shelton with the Spiritual MBA, and the pointer that we're going to talk about today is weakness and vulnerability. Now, pointers are simply a device that we use in the spiritual journey to signal or point one away from the mental constructions and the conditionings that you have acquired from a lifetime and likely live in an assumptive way within you, which means that you act as though they were true. Now, weakness and vulnerability is one of those areas that lives in our story identity, and typically we try to avoid that if we see that occur within our personality. Here's a beautiful image of someone that we might label weak and vulnerable, older, frail, no visible means of support, and in fact we might even feel sorry. It looks a little distressed actually. But you see, weakness and vulnerability is simply a matter of perception. It's a matter of where it's seen from. And weakness and vulnerability as a negative thing or a judgment only applies to your story identity. Now, why is that? Well, your story identity lives in separation. It believes that you are a separate author of your own journey. That's the conditioning you received. And separation in consciousness is insecure by the very definition. And so whenever insecurity accompanies the notion of weakness and vulnerability, most people work very, very hard to avoid that. And so that kind of weakness and vulnerability applies to your story identity. But it turns out you have a true identity. And what does a true identity think about all of this? Well, true identity embraces weakness and vulnerability. And why is that? Well, first of all, it experiences no insecurity. True identity is not separate from everything else that is or what you are. And with nothing to protect, attributes, normal things that we would judge good or bad, well, those simply are. So if one is simply weak and vulnerable in the traditional sense of things, but is broadcasting their true identity, the being and the consciousness that they really are, then there's nothing to protect. Whereas in the model of insecurity, weakness and vulnerability is always something to be protected. So what does this have to do with you, and how can you use it? Well, when you feel insecurity and you feel like you're weak and vulnerable and you can feel that that's out of that place of insecurity, go inside. Ask yourself, who am I? And take a look under the story of who am I and see if the being and presence that you are isn't waiting to move through you and broadcast itself to the world, so that you are just simply a conduit for what your true identity wants to move through you. Okay, I hope that helps. This is Alan Shelton. I'm with the Spiritual MBA. It's wonderful to talk about these little pointers with you. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you at the next pointer. Bye.